What's up, everybody? Check it out. It has arrived.
Got enough talk. Let's send this thing. It flies, no doubt.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Lou 52 RC. Mine finally arrived. So we are going to open this bad boy up together. I have not been in the box at all yet. I did order some tires with it too, which FedEx claimed they dropped off, but they did not. So either way, there it is. The bad boy, the green one. I had to have the green. Now, granted, the last few days I've been regretting that choice because everybody else has been out playing with all their other ones while I got to wait. So, I like it. Right on top. Power guard. This thing I might as well super glue into the thing because it's never coming out. But I kind of see the purpose for why they did it, but with the way Arrma ESCs have worked, especially the 223S ones, I think they should have kept it as simple as possible. The one in my Quake I had lasted 15 minutes, and it's actually up here on the shelf. They're warrantying it, but that was back in November, and it's not due until March. So, okay, got the usual SLT2 radio that comes with all of them. Not a huge fan of them, but I mean, I don't hate them. It's probably going to end up on my Fly Sky because one thing they did do with this was they made it where you can still run independent receiver, even though it is the 2-in-1 system. So here's the gratifying part. Oh, look at that. That little thing is awesome. Now, I did go get my hands on one at Performance RC Hobby here in Pearland, just out in South Houston. Just kind of put my hands on it. I didn't drive one or anything, but so this technically isn't the first time I've physically seen it. Then we got battery, charger, toolkit. I'm assuming there's a battery in the truck too. Yes, there is. So got the 2 batteries, so I guess it was worth the extra couple of days, but they did just a bang up job on this. Now I'm late to the party, so I've seen a lot of people posting about some issues they're having with these right out of the box. So because of that, because I was going to do just like kind of a, this unboxing, but then I was going to take it out, run a battery pack through it, just kind of running it around, and then work my way up into sending it. But a lot of people have only been getting 5 or 10 minutes out of their steering servos, apparently. So I think what I'm going to do is get the batteries charged up, and I'm going to take it out and hit the ramp with it first thing. But before I do go out and test this thing out and send it, at least want to go over a little bit of the truck. Bear with me, I've never done an unboxing on this channel before. so yeah, clipless body system. It seems like a pretty good system. I do like how beefy the cage is in here, especially when comparing to some of the other ones. I think Arrma did a good job on this one. We're going to see how it holds, but I mean, it looks pretty stout. I find the Arrma bodies to all be pretty tough anyway. But inside, we've got where all the magic happens. Got the 3S motor, the 203S ESC. Unlike Traxxas, they gave you fans, which I think this would have had the same problems I think the Mini XRT did with overheating. I live in Texas, so it gets hot here right now this time of year. It's not bad. but I'm a fan guy, so a fan of fans. These are my favorites, the Rockets, which I just so happen to have one that'll fit this one. But for the first run, I'm doing it as it comes out of the box for the most part. Everybody that's been getting their hands on these already has been doing, you know, posts on Facebook and things like that with them, of what they've been finding and having problems with. One thing I noticed several posts about was people said their front and rear differentials especially didn't have any diff fluid in them. I opened both mine up. There was traces of it, but I wouldn't say there was diff fluid in them. So I went ahead and threw some in there. I put some 20,000 in. That's what I had on hand. I did have some lighter, but I think anything lighter would have just been too light, honestly. This is going to be a stunt truck first and foremost for me. The suspension feels pretty good. It's a little soft for my liking because I like to jump it as high as I can possibly get it to go. So I like the suspension a little stiffer for soaking that up. I'm never trying to prevent chassis slap. I'm just trying to minimize how hard it hits when it does it. But this one out of the box, I mean, it's damped pretty good. The shock collars, they're threaded about halfway down. Because I found on the front ones, if you have them threaded all the way up, this spring's just flopping around in there. Overall, I mean, the fit and finish on this is awesome. Some of the key features that made me want to buy one, because I love my mini bashers, is this center bar. Thank you, Arrma, for putting on a proper chassis brace out of the box. I know that was a big weak point on the Mini Max and Mini XRT, as they were breaking the bulkheads in the front. Just the design of the chassis is completely different, but once you put on, you know, an aluminum center brace, that pretty much, you know, kept that from happening anymore. At least for me, I never broke one on any of them. Because I had the Mini Max and I still have the Mini XRT. I got rid of the Mini Max because it just sat on the shelf. I was never driving it because it seemed like a slow turd after getting the Mini XRT. But I do like that Arrma went that route with it. Also, getting into the front and rear differential, super easy. It was a lot less screws and work than you'd think. I mean, to get in the front, you pull these two bottom ones off the bumper, top one's off, that pops out. And then it was, 4 screws, the whole cover came out. You can pull the differential out without, I didn't even have to take the shocks loose. So I was able to get it in and out just fine. I like the battery compartment. I know there's already a couple guys out there that are selling the straps so you can run different batteries, which I'm going to give this one a go until it doesn't work. You know, if it breaks, then I'm going to go to that strap system. But I do have 2 of these little guys. So I'll just be running these batteries for right now anyway. Eventually I'll start playing around with different batteries. But for right now, the goal is leave this kind of as stock as possible, as long as possible. The tires, I love the little Copperhead 2s. I was not a fan of the big Copperhead 2s, the 6S ones, but they've started to grow on me. I've been running those for a little while between my Kraton and my Sledge, and I even had them on my Max for a while. But they did come out with the D-Boots backflips for this. I got a set ordered the day that they announced them, and they were going to ship in February, and I thought they had shipped when this did, because FedEx made it look like I had 2 packages coming from Arrma at the same time, but only one showed up, so maybe I was just looking at something weird. So yeah, that's the condition I'm going to run this thing in first. I do know there's going to be a ton of aftermarket goodies for this thing, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of them and test them and, you know, put them through their paces, so to speak. But for right now, I think this will be a tough little truck, the way it sits, just from the videos I've seen from the guys that got them, you know, early release, to do the unboxing and things like that. The ones that do a much better job than I do at unboxings. But yeah, I'm waiting for the battery to charge, so I am gonna pull the center diff out, just to check on the fluid situation there. I was hoping to not hit this thing with any tools before I actually took it out and drove it, but when I was taking the diffs out, I noticed most of the screws on this thing, and actually almost all the ones on the bottom skid plate, all of them were, I mean, they were finger tight at best. So I would have been rattling some screws out. So go over it. If you get one, just go over and just touch every screw with the driver and make sure they're at least snug, because some of them were like, I was trying to put the the driver in, and as I was like turning it to maneuver it in there, it was turning the screw without even being in it. It was that loose. So not a big deal, but something to think about if you get excited like I do and just want to pull it out of the box, throw the battery in it and run. If you're going to beat on it a little bit, I'd suggest maybe giving it a minute and just kind of go over it. I'll eventually put heavier fluid in the shocks too, I'm sure, but for right now I wanted to run it as it came out of the box, so you can kind of show everybody, can this take extreme bashing right out of the box? You know, that's always the goal with a lot of us, is just to see how high we can jump these, how far we can jump them, how many flips can they do, and then yeah, ultimately they break, but that's part of bashing. That is, if you bash and don't break, you're not bashing, you're just driving around. That's just the way that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the center diff out of this thing and check, see if it's got fluid. I'll let you know if it did or didn't. I did already install I don't even remember what it's called now, the little plug that makes it actually operate the way it should. I put that in there. I mean, I get why they did it. I just think they're overthinking an ESC, and Arrma kind of had a hard time with these little 223S ESCs anyway. They don't last very long. So went ahead and put mine in so I didn't forget it, because otherwise it'd run like it was on 2S the entire time I was out. So gonna get the center diff figured out, and we're gonna get it out there, and we're gonna put this thing up in the air. We're gonna see if we can take this perfectly beautiful new RC and maybe throw a scratch or two on it. All right, this is the first time this thing has touched the ground and been driven at all. I put the I don't remember what they call it the fast plug, so it goes full out right away. I didn't adjust anything in the ESC or anything like that, so the punch is still where it comes out of the box. So this is just a first shakedown run with it, see how it does. This thing's gonna be so much fun. And like I said too in my little intro there, I brought out Mini XRT, so we're gonna have that out with us. You guys have seen this enough times. If you watched any of my videos, you know exactly where I am. So first thing we're gonna do is we're not gonna warm up, we're gonna go straight for it. You know, this is exciting. Make sure my trim's good here. That's the only thing I'm gonna mess with before I send it. Just that a little. Looks to be tracking pretty straight. So only thing I've done to this is I did open up all the diffs to make sure there's diff fluid, because other guys had that issue. The front and rear had traces of diff fluid in them. I mean, hardly anything, just enough to kind of coat the gears in a way. So I added the 20,000 to the front and rear, because that's what I've heard was stock. And then I opened up the center diff and it was packed nicely. It was full. It was great. So didn't have to do anything with that. But enough talk. Let's send this thing. It flies, no doubt about that. Good air control. Didn't do anything weird and twitchy. The suspension, surprisingly, actually, it absorbed that pretty good, because it does feel pretty soft. Oh yeah, this thing is a runner. She's a keeper.
that was pretty much full throttle. I mean, just about. I mean, and that, I don't know how it's coming out on the video, but that's up there a ways. I mean, I'm say probably safely 20-25 feet at least, without having the performance analyzer out here to actually tell you for sure. I'm going off best guess here. This thing is fun. So far, it isn't doing anything weird. I mean, it handles really, really well. So you can see the tree it just jumped over. I mean, that right there is probably close to 15 feet tall. So now that we got, okay, I will say one thing. These tires are grippy because I keep flipping it over just trying to turn. Maybe I should slow down, right? I mean, the servo in there is quick. It handles really well. This thing has got some power. Take it through some sand here. Whoa, almost flipped it again. I mean, this is some choppy sand, so it's testing that squishy suspension, right? Yeah, this thing's a runner, man. It does really well. It stays pretty planted. It's not trying to wheelie up on me like unreasonably. If I want it to, it'll stand up okay, but with these types of minis, the wheelies get old. In my opinion, to be honest. You're trying to just get up to speed and it just wants to flip on you, but these are brand new tires, so they're not going to grip really well on anything just yet. Got to get those broken a little, but I mean, it sends a single backflip just about every time. I'm going to see if I can actually hit it without flipping. Just do a sail off of it. There we go. And this is running the Spectrum 2000 milliamp battery that it came with, because this one came with two. Let's see if we can get a nice double backflip here. All in a day's work. This thing's doing just fine. Guys, we're back here on the bench. Had a great first session with the Mini Kraton. It wasn't 100% perfect. I didn't put it through all that much. I mean, I did some big air jumps, but it was to grass landings. Did find a couple things that I didn't care too much for, mainly quality and design issues, but overall I still give this thing a 9.5 out of 10. And would highly recommend it if you want to get into mini bashing, or if you're already into mini bashing and don't have one, get one. So the only failure it had on me today was the spring perch on one side popped off. I managed to find it, luckily, because you can't buy them by themselves right now. You have to buy the whole set of shocks, and I made sure to find it. Luckily, I found it within like 2 or 3 minutes because I was hitting one big jump over and over and over again, so it was a pretty small area to have to go look in. So that was the only thing that failed on me today. And as for design issues, front shocks. The spring is too short. And there is hardly any threaded adjustment on these little shocks. Like right now, I mean, you're seeing the top of the shock. That's all play. I mean, you can see it flopping around on the bottom. It's not even staying seated when it's sitting there relaxed. But if you adjust it all the way down, it gets it to where it's reasonable. So the shock springs are too short, and I think that explains why these are falling off on everybody, because there's no tension against them and there's no retaining screw to hold them on. But Other than that, I think some stiffer springs that are a little bit longer, some thicker oil, the shocks will be doable. They'll be good. The only other minor gripe is that chassis skid. They must have used the softest aluminum available. You can see how ground down it is and how much of it is no longer there. And this was on one battery pack, and none of my landings were on pavement. They were all on grass. That was just from the takeoff ramp. So that's one minor gripe, but I know our friends over at MTC Racing, I know we can count on them. They're going to end up making one, because they fix the weak spots in any of these cars that come out, and that is definitely a weak spot in this. It's just not very durable. But other than that, it held up great. I had some good sends, had a couple good crashes, landed upside down once. Body held up perfect. You know, the cage design in there is awesome. So no cracks, nothing weird in the body. Tires do okay. They're definitely a replica of the larger Copperhead 2s. There's certain terrain that they just won't grip, but I think if I can get the suspension stiffer, I'll be able to get bigger air out of it, because it is bottoming out pretty good on that takeoff, and it's losing a lot of its speed going up it. I had the Mini XRT out on the same jump, and I was going probably 10 feet higher and 15, 20 feet further, hitting it at the same speed, because it just doesn't bottom as hard, because I do have, you know, aftermarket shocks on that are built up with stiffer springs, heavier oil, all that. But all in all, this is a great rig. I am super, super stoked with it. It actually did better than I thought it was going to do. You know, fresh out of the box with no adjustments. I didn't change the settings in the ESC, nothing. It is exactly how it came out of the box, with the exception of going and actually putting diff fluid in the front and rear diff. That was my other gripe. They didn't have any in them. They looked like somebody put a drop in or something. It was just enough to coat one of the sun gears. Center diff was packed beautifully. It had exactly what it needed. So I threw in some 20K front and back on it before I ran it. And one other quality control gripe, I know I keep saying one more, but most of the screws on this truck were barely finger tight. So if you get one of these, go through it and touch every screw with your driver. You'll need to, because like on the bottom, on that chassis skid, every one of those was finger tight. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have even needed the driver on some of them. You could have just like pressed your finger up against it and started turning it. So they all seem to be tight after the run. So I think it was just, they were slapping these together as fast as they could. But all in all, successful day. Came out with not having to buy any parts for it. So that's a win. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your time. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Hit that bell for the notifications so you can see the latest videos when they come out. I've got a lot of footage right now over the last week or so that I'm putting together for some videos. So I've got some really cool stuff coming out. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate all of you, and we'll see you on the next one. Keep bashing.